Hello YouTube, this video is going to be on checking your glucose levels. I did one on blood pressure earlier, but I wanted to do glucose as well. They're all in that metabolic syndrome issue to where if your body is experiencing high blood sugar, high blood pressure, even experiencing PVCs, which is perceived as skip heart rates, it's actually an extra heart rate, and all other types of symptoms, then you want to try to bring your body back in check. If you're experiencing all those, and 9 times out of 10, the reason why you are experiencing them is because you probably neglected your body to a point to where it's actually fighting back. So as you get older, things don't get any easier. So you want to be able to check these things, even if you're not in danger of exhibiting these symptoms or having these different types of disorders. It's best to keep a look at them from time to time, so this way you make sure you stay on track. Now, I'm going to be using again a Walmart brand glucometer, which will tell me my blood sugar levels. Now, the reason why I'm doing it as well is because I do intermittent fasting, and I'd like to know, just before I go on my fast, what my blood sugars are, and also when I complete my fast, before I eat, I want to know what my blood sugars are as well. I also use a meter, which I'm not going over right now, but I will, as far as measuring ketones. So I keep track of that as well. But this one is basically telling my glucose level. I know when I was sick with COVID back in 2021, and I was eating everything under the sun, all kinds of sweets and what have you, I got back, I wasn't feeling too well. I think COVID had was the reason why some of my values were exacerbated as well. So I decided to keep an eye on my glucose levels. They're pretty much normal now. I may be a little bit pre-diabetic. That's because I'm carrying a little bit too much, well, not as much weight as I used to carry, but probably a little bit more than what I should for my body, for my height. So I have a lot of pockets of adipose tissue, which actually secrete glucose. It's storage for glucose. So my blood values aren't down below 100 on a regular basis as I would like to, but that's what I'm shooting for. So as I exercise and as I lose the weight and I lose the fat, I'll be able to see my blood glucose levels stabilize under 100 after a fasting episode. Okay, so now I just ate, so my glucose levels, and I want to show you after you eat what your glucose levels may be. Now, to give you an idea as to what I ate, I had a bagel, which is sort of taboo when you're doing your blood sugar readings, but I wanted to see how that would affect my blood glucose levels. So I'm gonna, and I also had a cup of coffee. I had a little bit of, I had heavy cream, which is good because the fats in it keep that, keep the glucose levels down. But I did have a little bit of honey in it. I'm not going keto. I eat a keto style meal when I get off my fast, but generally I try to stick to low carbs, very little added sugars, if any. Of course, honey would probably be considered added sugar, but I try to stay away from those as best as possible. I'm not a guru when it comes to that, and I'm not fanatical when it comes to not taking in those things, but I've lessened them by like maybe 90%, which is going to help me in the long run. So without further ado, let me show you the glucometer that I use. Again, I'm not sponsoring this. They're not sponsoring me. I'm not getting paid. I'm not selling it or anything like that. I just want to let you know what I use and that you don't have to go out and buy all this top-notch equipment. Again, this, I'm going to bring it down, this glucometer I got at Walmart. It costs about, I don't know, 20 bucks, something like that. You can get the a pack of 9 or 50 for about 9 bucks. Walmart sells them pretty cheap, so that's good. So you get a pack of these 50 strips, testing strips, for about 9 bucks. You can get 25 for about 5 bucks and what have you. So I've got this strip. I'll put that container away. So I've got my strip, and then I've got my alcohol pad, and then I've got my needle here, which is in a situation where it's in a driver where you push the button and it's measured, so this way you don't gouge your finger or anything like that. It's just a small little prick on the finger. So the first thing that I do is that I'll open this up, I'll put it to the side, then I'll stick the, there's a little hole on the bottom that I'll stick the strip in. And as you can see, it activates the machine, and it should start blinking. As you can see, it should start blinking, letting you know, hey, go ahead and put the blood in. So I'll use, I fluctuate between fingers. I'll just pick one right here, wipe it down with the alcohol swab. Then I'll take my little injector. Now, I do let it dry a little bit because I don't want to affect the results. So the alcohol dries pretty quick. Do a quick plunge there. Now, typically what you should do is already prep the finger. Now, what I'm doing right now may have some interstitial tissue or fluids that may mix up with the blood and may not give me an accurate reading. But, you know, it wouldn't be all that different, but if you're looking for a more accurate result, prime your finger first before you stick it. But you see that little drop of blood right there? I just put it right at the edge of the glucometer, right in the testing strip. It'll suck it up. Once it sucks it up, it'll display what my reading is, and I'll explain this reading in a second. Okay, so the reading is 126, which is actually pretty good considering I just had a bagel and I had a cup of coffee with honey in it. So 126 is actually pretty good. So I can only assume that my starting glucose after I got off my fast was somewhere around, probably around 100, maybe a little bit more, and that it increased it to 126, which is well within normal limits. I think it's 140 up to 2 hours after eating. So I'm well within the my limitations. Again, people's results will vary depending on the individual, depending on their health status, depending on you know, what their diet was and what have you. But the key is, if you want to keep your glucose levels low, I know that in America here we live to eat, and I did that for many years instead of eating to live. There are a lot of healthy foods out there that are actually very good, but we get caught in a cycle and customary and tradition where we eat a lot of carbohydrates, breads, rices, things like that. Hey, look, I like them better than the next guy, but they don't like me too much. So, you know, in my efforts, as I said, I'm 62 now. So in my efforts to try to live a long and healthy life, I'm trying to decrease those episodes where I've taken a lot of carbohydrates. But keeping track of your blood sugar levels is a good start. You can't know where you're going to until you know where you came from. So it gives you a starting point. I would suggest everybody go out and just give it a try from time to time. And the key times to do it is, now you're going to have a spike in your glucose early in the morning. So I wouldn't advise you doing your readings early in the morning, somewhere around noon, because of what's called a dawn effect, where your body secretes glucose while you're sleeping to prepare you to get up for the next day. So maybe around noontime when you're up and about and what have you, just go ahead and check it, see what it is, maybe before a meal, maybe an hour, 2 hours after meal, so you get an idea as to where you're at and if your pancreas, because what happens is when you eat, your pancreas secretes insulin to match the glucose. And just like sodium and potassium, it's a balancing act that these two things do. You have your type 1 diabetics, which are individuals that can't produce insulin, so they have to take insulin because their body can't produce it. And then you have your type 2 diabetics, which most of that is diet related. Like if you're considered obese, once you lose the weight and go down to whatever the standard is for not being obese, and you're not obese anymore. That's the same thing with type 2 diabetes. If you bring your blood sugar levels down through your diet, then you're no longer diabetic anymore, as long as you maintain that lifestyle. And it is a lifestyle. It's not something you do just once in a while. It is a lifestyle. It's a change of how you think. It's a change of how you approach food, how you see food. Not as, you know, as I said before, and not living to eat, but eating to live. Okay? Well, thank you for watching this video, and I'll hope to have a few more for you. Thanks. Bye.